I am Jacobo Grinberg, and for decades, I have explored the deepest mysteries of human consciousness. I have walked paths that traditional science barely dares to glance at. I have touched the frontiers where the material meets the spiritual. And today, I want to share something with you that could change your understanding of the universe forever. There is a phrase, a verbal formulation so powerful that when it is spoken with the right intention and from the proper state of consciousness, it can make the cosmos respond to your call. This isn't magic. It isn't superstition. It is applied neuroscience. It is quantum physics in action. It is the deep understanding of how the synergic network that connects your mind with the very fabric of reality truly works. But before I reveal this transformative phrase to you, I need you to understand the scientific and spiritual foundation that supports it. Because without this understanding, the words would be just empty sounds floating in the air, without the power to transform absolutely anything in your experience. During my years of research in the neurophysiology laboratory at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, I discovered something that revolutionized my understanding of reality. Consciousness is not a mere product of the brain, as materialistic science claims. It is a field, a fundamental force of the universe, as real and measurable as gravity or electromagnetism. This field of consciousness operates through what I have called the synergic theory. Imagine that every human being is like a node in an infinite cosmic network. Every thought, every intention, every word you speak generates waves in this network, vibrations that propagate through the quantum fabric of space-time and return to you amplified or modified by the resonance of the entire cosmos. When I worked with shamans in the mountains of Mexico, when I participated in sacred ceremonies where ayahuasca showed me dimensions of reality that Western science does not even suspect, I understood that the ancient masters already knew this truth. They knew that words are not mere symbols, but vectors of power capable of shaping reality itself. If you are following this exploration with me, if you feel that something inside you resonates with these words, I invite you to subscribe to this space, where we share the deepest mysteries of consciousness. And please, let me know in the comments what country you are joining us from. And give us a like if this information is touching something real in your experience. Because when we connect from different points on the planet, we create a more powerful synergic network, a field of collective consciousness that amplifies the message that the universe wants us to receive. The phrase I am about to reveal to you was born from years of rigorous research. I measured brainwaves. I studied the effects of deep meditation on the nervous system. I analyzed how certain words and sounds could induce altered states of consciousness. But it was in a moment of deep introspection during a mystical experience that changed my life forever that this formulation came to my consciousness as a direct revelation from the cosmos. It was a new moon night. I was in my laboratory, working very late on my research on interhemispheric brain synchrony. I had been studying how certain Sanskrit mantras could generate specific patterns of brain waves when suddenly something extraordinary happened. I felt as if my consciousness expanded beyond the limits of my physical body. For an instant that seemed eternal, I experienced what I can only describe as a complete fusion with the universal synergic field. In that state of expanded consciousness, I received a direct understanding, not intellectual but experiential, of how the creation of reality truly works. I saw, or rather I perceived directly, that every word spoken from a certain state of consciousness generates what I called synergic vectors of manifestation. These waves of conscious information travel through the quantum fabric of space-time, interact with the morphic field of possibilities, and return as synchronistic events in our three-dimensional experience. But here is the secret that most people do not understand. It is not enough to repeat words mechanically. The transformative power resides in the state of consciousness from which the phrase is spoken. It is necessary to access what I have called the synergic state of coherence, where the cerebral hemispheres function in perfect synchrony, where the nervous system operates from cardiac coherence, and where intention aligns completely with the natural flow of the cosmos. During my research with people who had developed extraordinary paranormal abilities, I discovered that they all shared a common characteristic: the ability to generate highly coherent states of consciousness where their brainwaves entered into perfect synchrony with the fundamental frequencies of the Earth's electromagnetic field. These individuals could influence physical reality through conscious intention because they had learned to speak to the universe in its own language, the language of coherence, of harmony, of perfect resonance between individual consciousness and cosmic consciousness. The phrase I am about to reveal to you works because it is specifically designed to induce this state of synergic coherence. Each word has been chosen not only for its semantic meaning, but for its vibrational structure, for its ability to generate specific patterns of neuronal activity that synchronize your consciousness with the master frequencies of the cosmos. But before you pronounce it, you must prepare your nervous system. You must create the necessary internal conditions for your consciousness to access the synergic state of coherence. Because if you pronounce these words from an ordinary state of consciousness, scattered, fragmented by the stress and anxiety of daily life, it will be like trying to tune a cosmic radio with static interference. The message will arrive distorted, weak, without the transformative power it possesses when it is emitted from absolute clarity. The first step is conscious breathing. During my years of research with yogic and shamanic breathing techniques, I discovered that certain breathing patterns can induce specific states of brain activity. The breathing that I am going to teach you activates what I have called the primary synergic circuit, a neural network that connects the brainstem with the higher areas of the prefrontal cortex, creating a bridge between the autonomic nervous system and the higher centers of consciousness. Breathe deeply through your nose, filling first the abdomen, then the chest, then the upper part of the lungs. Hold your breath for 7 seconds while you visualize how the oxygen turns into golden light that illuminates every cell of your body. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth for 14 seconds, visualizing how that golden light expands beyond your physical body, creating a field of coherence around you. Repeat this breathing pattern 7 times. 7, because this number has a special resonance with the fundamental rhythms of the cosmos, with the natural cycles that govern everything from planetary orbits to the circadian rhythms of your own body. As you breathe in this way, you will notice how your mind gradually quiets down. The scattered thoughts, the daily worries, the mental noises that normally dominate your conscious experience will begin to dissolve. This is not a placebo effect. It is the direct result of the synchronization of your brainwaves with the theta and alpha frequencies, states of consciousness where intuition is activated, where perception expands, where your individual consciousness can access the information of the universal synergic field. In my research with electroencephalography, I was able to document how this type of conscious breathing generates what I called windows of synergic coherence, moments where the brain functions as a unified whole, where the artificial separation between the left and right hemispheres dissolves, allowing access to higher states of consciousness. It is from this state that you must pronounce the transformative phrase. But there is another crucial element that you must understand: the importance of genuine gratitude. Gratitude is not simply a positive emotion. It is a specific frequency of consciousness that attunes your nervous system to the highest dimensions of the synergic field. When you experience authentic gratitude, your heart generates a coherent electromagnetic field that extends several meters around your body. This field of cardiac coherence interacts with the Earth's electromagnetic field and with the fields of other people, creating what I have called synergic resonance networks, invisible structures of conscious information that can profoundly influence physical reality. During my work with traditional healers, I observed that they all entered into deep states of gratitude before performing any type of healing or manifestation. It was not just a symbolic ritual. It was a technology of consciousness, a way of attuning their nervous system to the master frequencies of the universe. So before you pronounce the phrase, you must generate an authentic feeling of gratitude. Gratitude for being alive, for having the opportunity to participate in this cosmic experiment of consciousness, for being part of the universal evolution that is happening through you and in you. Gratitude for every breath, for every beat of your heart, for the incredible complexity of your nervous system that allows you to experience the beauty and mystery of existence. This gratitude must arise not from the intellect, but from the heart. It must be felt in every cell of your body, radiated from your cardiac center as waves of golden light that expand infinitely in all directions. When you manage to generate this state of coherent gratitude, you will know that you are ready to pronounce the words that can change your reality. Now, the phrase you have been waiting for, the words that, pronounced from the correct state of consciousness, can make the cosmos respond to your intention. This phrase was born from the deep understanding of how consciousness interacts with the quantum structure of reality, of how words can become vectors of transformation when they are emitted from perfect synergic coherence. The phrase is, I am the consciousness that dreams this reality, and from my perfect coherence, I allow the universe to reorganize itself to reflect my highest intention. But let me explain to you why these specific words possess such transformative power. Each element of this phrase has been designed to activate specific circuits of consciousness, to generate particular patterns of neuronal activity that synchronize your individual mind with the universal cosmic mind. I am the consciousness that dreams this reality. This is not an abstract metaphysical affirmation. It is a quantum declaration of your true nature. When you pronounce these words from the synergic state of coherence, you are activating what quantum physicists call the observer effect. You are consciously recognizing your role as a co-creator of reality, as the point of convergence where the waves of quantum possibility collapse into concrete experiences. During my research on mystical states of consciousness, I discovered that in the moments of greatest expanded awareness, people directly experience this truth, that consciousness is not produced by the brain, but that the brain is a receiver, a tuner of the universal consciousness that permeates all existence. When you declare, I am the consciousness that dreams this reality, you will be aligning your personal identity with your cosmic identity, recognizing that you are an individualized expression of the universal consciousness, a focal point through which the cosmos experiences itself. And from my perfect coherence is the technological key to the entire phrase. This statement automatically activates the neurological mechanisms of self-regulation and synchronization. Your nervous system, upon hearing these words spoken with genuine intention, immediately begins to adjust its operating patterns to approach that state of perfect coherence. It is an example of what in neuroscience we call intention-driven neuroplasticity. Your brain, upon receiving this conscious instruction, begins to restructure its neural connections to physically manifest the state of coherence you are declaring. I allow the universe to reorganize itself contains a deep wisdom about the functioning of conscious manifestation. The word allow is crucial. You are not trying to force the universe to obey you. You are not fighting against the cosmic laws. You are recognizing that your role is to create the internal conditions of coherence that allow the natural universal forces to flow through you without obstacles. In my work with shamans and traditional healers, I learned that true masters never try to impose their will on reality. Instead, they learn to align themselves so perfectly with the natural flow of the cosmos that they become clear channels through which the universal forces can manifest. To reflect my highest intention is the final direction of the whole phrase. Not just any intention, but your highest intention. This means that when you pronounce these words, you must connect with the purest and noblest dimension of your being, with that part of you that transcends the personal ego and aligns with the greater good, with conscious evolution, with unconditional love. Your highest intention is never separate from the well-being of the whole. It is the intention that arises when you understand that your individual happiness is inextricably connected with the happiness of all beings, that your personal fulfillment is part of the universal cosmic fulfillment. But here is something very important that you must understand. This phrase is not a magic formula that works instantly without prior inner work. It is a powerful tool that requires you to gradually develop your ability to maintain prolonged states of synergic coherence. During my years of research, I worked with people who had developed extraordinary paranormal abilities. All of them had dedicated years of disciplined practice to training their nervous system, to purifying their emotional field, to aligning their intentions with the highest frequencies of consciousness. Conscious manifestation is not a circus trick. It is the natural result of a consciousness that has learned to function in perfect harmony with the fundamental cosmic laws. It's like learning to play a musical instrument, right? At first, the sounds you produce may be discordant, out of tune, but with constant and dedicated practice, you gradually develop the ability to create beautiful music. The same thing happens with the ability to manifest consciously. At first, when you pronounce this phrase, you may not feel anything special. Your rational mind may mock you and tell you that this is just New Age fantasy without scientific foundation. But if you persist, if you practice day after day from a genuine state of coherence and gratitude, you will begin to notice subtle but significant changes in your experience. Synchronicities will become more frequent. Opportunities will begin to appear in ways that will seem almost magical. The right people will come into your life at the exact moment. The resources you need will manifest through channels you could never have rationally predicted. This is not a coincidence. It is the direct result of your consciousness, functioning from deeper levels of synergic coherence, creating waves of organized information that propagate through the quantum field and return as synchronistic experiences in your three-dimensional reality. During my research, I documented hundreds of cases of people who developed extraordinary abilities after months or years of constant practice with synergic coherence techniques. Some developed telepathic abilities. Others could influence electronic systems at a distance. Others manifested physical healings that conventional medicine considered impossible. All of these apparently paranormal phenomena are actually natural expressions of a consciousness that has learned to operate from deep states of coherence. They are the normal abilities of a human being who functions with their full neurological potential activated. Because what most people do not understand is that we use only a tiny fraction of our true conscious potential. Our brain contains approximately 100 billion neurons, each connected to thousands of others through networks of a complexity that rivals the very structure of the observable universe. When you manage to synchronize these billions of neural connections through deep states of coherence, your consciousness expands beyond the ordinary limitations of time and space. You can directly access information from the universal synergic field. You can influence events that are apparently beyond the reach of your physical body. You can consciously participate in the cosmic dance of creation. But to reach these extraordinary levels of conscious functioning, you need more than just to pronounce a powerful phrase once a week. You need to transform your entire way of life into a constant practice of synergic coherence. This means becoming extremely conscious of every thought you allow to inhabit your mind. Thoughts are not just private neuronal activity. They are waves of information that propagate through the synergic field and attract resonant experiences into your life. If you maintain thoughts of fear, scarcity, separation, you will be constantly transmitting these frequencies to the cosmos and receiving back experiences that confirm these limiting expectations. On the contrary, when you discipline your mind to maintain thoughts of love, abundance, connection, unity, you will be transmitting these elevated frequencies and attracting experiences that reflect these higher states of consciousness. This also means becoming conscious of every emotion that you allow to dominate your energetic field. Emotions are literally energy in motion, specific frequencies of conscious information that color your entire perception of reality. When you maintain emotions of gratitude, compassion, joy, reverence, you are attuning your nervous system to the highest dimensions of the synergic field. And it means becoming conscious of every word you speak, not only when you say the transformative phrase, but in every conversation, in every interaction. Words are vectors of power. Every time you speak, you are literally creating waves in the quantum fabric of space-time. These waves eventually return to you amplified, manifesting as experiences in your life. If you constantly talk about problems, limitations, impossibilities, you will be programming the synergic field to return more problematic and limiting experiences to you. But if you discipline your speech to reflect the reality you want to create, if you talk about possibilities, solutions, opportunities, you will be sowing the verbal seeds that will eventually blossom as transformative experiences in your life. During my years of research with traditional Mexican healers, I observed that they all spoke in a very specific way. They never mentioned the disease they were trying to heal. Instead, they constantly spoke of health, vitality, harmony, balance. It was not just superficial positive thinking. It was the deep understanding that words possess literal creative power. These healers knew that when you pronounce the name of a disease, you are strengthening its presence in the synergic field. You are feeding with your attention and your vital energy the informational matrix that sustains that unwanted condition. On the contrary, when you constantly talk about health and vitality, you are strengthening the informational matrices that sustain these desired states. The same dynamic applies to all areas of your life. If you want to manifest financial abundance, discipline your speech to always reflect prosperity and financial flow. If you want to create deep, loving relationships, constantly speak of love, connection, sacred intimacy. If you want to develop your creative potential, speak of inspiration, innovation, authentic expression. This does not mean psychological denial of the real challenges you may be facing. It means recognizing that your way of speaking about these challenges will determine whether they are perpetuated or transformed. You can acknowledge a difficult situation without feeding it with your verbal energy. You can focus your speech on the solutions, on the opportunities for growth, on the transformative possibilities that each challenge contains. Now, let's return to the specific practice of the transformative phrase. I recommend that you pronounce it every morning, immediately after waking up, when your mind is still in theta and alpha states, more receptive to conscious programming, and every night before sleeping, when your subconscious is more open to receiving new instructions. But it is crucial that you do not repeat them mechanically, like a parrot that imitates sounds without understanding. Each time you pronounce it, you must fully enter the state of consciousness that the words represent. You must feel in every cell of your body the truth that you are, the consciousness that dreams this reality. You must viscerally experience your perfect coherence. You must genuinely allow the universe to reorganize itself to reflect your highest intention. This requires total presence, complete attention, absolute surrender to the present moment. You cannot be thinking about your to-do list while you pronounce these sacred words. You cannot be worried about problems at work while you are trying to attune to the master cosmic frequencies. Each pronunciation of this phrase must be like a sacred ceremony, a moment of deep communion with the cosmic mystery of which you are a part. You must approach it with the same reverence with which a musician approaches their instrument before playing a symphony, with the same concentration with which a scientist approaches a crucial experiment, because that is exactly what you are doing every time you consciously pronounce this phrase. You are performing a scientific experiment in the laboratory of your own consciousness. You are empirically testing the hypothesis that coherent consciousness can directly influence the structure of physical reality. And as in any rigorous scientific experiment, you need to keep careful records of the results. I suggest that you keep a journal where you document the changes you begin to observe in your life after practicing with this phrase. Note the synchronicities that appear. Record the opportunities that manifest. Document the changes in your emotional state, in your energy level, in your mental clarity. But also keep a record of the moments when the practice does not seem to work, when you pronounce the words but do not feel any special connection, when your rational mind resists or scoffs at the whole process. These moments are equally valuable for your learning, because they show you exactly which aspects of your consciousness need further development. Perhaps you will discover that you have subconscious resistance to the idea of being truly powerful, of being a true co-creator of your reality. Many people have been conditioned since childhood to believe that they are helpless victims of circumstances, that they have no real control over what happens to them. These limiting beliefs create interference in the synergic field, partially blocking your ability to manifest consciously. Others may discover that they have an unconscious fear of real power, because being truly capable of influencing reality through conscious intention also implies a tremendous responsibility. It means that you can no longer blame external circumstances for your experience. It means that you must assume full responsibility for the reality that you are co-creating moment by moment. This can be a terrifying awakening for the personal ego that prefers to feel like a victim, because this allows it to avoid responsibility. But it is a liberating awakening for your authentic self that longs to express its true creative potential. During my research, I worked with many people who went through deep psychological crises. When they began to awaken to their true conscious power, suddenly, they realized that they had been unconsciously creating much of the suffering in their lives through destructive mental, emotional, and verbal patterns. This understanding can initially generate guilt, shame, self-rejection, but if it is navigated wisely, it becomes the foundation of an authentic freedom. Because once you understand that you have been a co-creator of your past experience, you also understand that you have the power to co-create a completely different future experience. That is why it is so important to approach this practice with compassion for yourself, with patience, with the understanding that you are gradually awakening to abilities that have been dormant for years or decades. Do not expect instant and dramatic results. Instead, remain attentive to the subtle changes, to the small daily miracles, to the seemingly minor synchronicities, which are actually signs that your consciousness is beginning to operate from deeper levels of coherence. I remember a woman who participated in one of my studies on conscious manifestation. During the first few weeks of practicing with synergic techniques, she reported no significant changes in her external life. But she began to notice that she woke up naturally each morning feeling more rested, more optimistic, more connected to a sense of purpose. These seemingly minor internal changes were the necessary preparation for the external transformations that came later. Gradually, she began to attract professional opportunities that seemed specifically designed for her unique talents. People who could help her realize her creative dreams spontaneously appeared in her life. Financial resources arrived through completely unexpected channels. Over the course of a year of consistent practice, her life was transformed in ways she could never have rationally planned. But it all began with those subtle internal changes, with that gradual increase in her basic level of coherence and vitality. This is the key that many people do not understand about conscious manifestation. It is not a process that occurs only at the mental or emotional level. It is a transformation that must occur at all levels of your being: physical, energetic, mental, emotional, spiritual. Your physical body must become a clearer conductor of the high synergic frequencies. This means taking care of your diet, choosing foods that raise your vibration instead of weighing it down. It means getting regular exercise that keeps your energy circulating fluidly. It means getting enough sleep so that your nervous system can process and integrate the new frequencies of consciousness that you are channeling. Your energetic field must be purified of the toxic accumulations of fear, anger, resentment, and unprocessed sadness. These dense emotions create interference in your ability to attune to the master frequencies of the cosmos. I am not suggesting emotional repression. On the contrary, I am talking about learning to fully feel every emotion that arises, but without identifying with it, without allowing it to dominate your energetic field for days, weeks, or years. During my work with emotional healing techniques, I discovered that most people carry emotional traumas from years or decades ago that act as distorting filters on their perception of reality. These unhealed traumas create unconscious expectations of pain, disappointment, and abandonment, which then manifest as repetitive patterns in their lives. The practice of the transformative phrase can help you gradually heal these traumas, but it works most effectively when combined with conscious therapeutic work, with specific techniques of emotional release, with sacred ceremonies that allow you to process and release the wounds of the past. Your mind must be trained to maintain thoughts that are aligned with the reality you want to create. This does not mean forced positive thinking or denial of real challenges. It means developing what I call synergic realism, the ability to clearly see the present conditions, while maintaining an equally clear vision of the transformative possibilities that these conditions contain. The synthetically trained mind can hold apparent paradoxes without collapsing into confusion. It can simultaneously recognize the reality of a present challenge and the reality of the potential solutions that are emerging. You can feel genuine gratitude for the lessons that each difficulty offers while actively working to create more harmonious conditions. Your spiritual dimension must awaken to the understanding that you are much more than your temporary personality, that you are a unique and irreplaceable expression of the universal cosmic consciousness. This understanding is not an intellectual concept that you can adopt because it sounds nice. It is an experiential realization that completely transforms your sense of identity and purpose. When you truly understand who you are in your deepest essence, when you directly experience your intimate connection with the entire cosmos, your whole life, naturally becomes an expression of this realization. You no longer need to force yourself to be spiritual or conscious. Spirituality and consciousness become as natural as breathing. It is from this state of authentic spiritual realization that the transformative phrase reaches its maximum power. Because when you pronounce it from the deep understanding of your true cosmic nature, you are not asking for favors from the universe. You are reminding the cosmos of who you really are. You are reaffirming your rightful place in the sacred dance of creation. During my deepest experiences with altered states of consciousness, I have directly experienced this truth, that every human being is a focal point of the universal consciousness, a place where the cosmos knows itself in a unique and irreplaceable way. When you pronounce the transformative phrase from this understanding, you are speaking from your authentic cosmic authority. But there is another, even deeper level to this practice that I want to share with you. The transformative phrase not only changes your personal reality. When it is pronounced from genuine states of syntergic coherence, it contributes to the elevation of the collective consciousness of all humanity. This is not romantic mysticism. It is a direct consequence of what I have discovered in my research on the interconnected nature of consciousness. Every time a person raises their level of coherence, it creates waves of organized information that propagate throughout the entire planetary syntergic network, making it easier for other people to access similar states of coherence. It's like when you perfectly tune a musical instrument in an orchestra. It not only improves the sound of that individual instrument, but it makes it easier for all the other instruments to tune themselves, because now there is a clear reference of the correct frequency resonating in the environment. During my years of research, I have observed that people who develop high levels of syntergic coherence not only transform their own lives, they become catalysts for transformation for all the people who come into contact with them. Their mere presence induces states of greater harmony in other human beings, and even in animals and plants. This means that every time you consciously practice with the transformative phrase, you are not only working for your own awakening, you are actively participating in the collective awakening of humanity. You are contributing to the evolution of planetary consciousness. This understanding can give you additional motivation to persevere in the practice, especially during those times when the results do not seem to come as quickly as your rational mind would like. Because even when you do not see dramatic changes in your personal life, you can be certain that your inner work is contributing to the well-being of the entire field of human consciousness. During my research with groups of people practicing syntergic techniques simultaneously, I documented extraordinary phenomena of collective synchronization. When a group of trained individuals pronounced specific mantras at the same time, their brainwaves synchronized not only with each other, but they also seemed to influence the brainwaves of people who were at considerable distances, even without these people consciously knowing that the experiment was being conducted. These experiments suggest that coherent consciousness can have non-local effects that transcend the limitations of time and space, as conceived by Newtonian physics. They suggest that when a critical group of human beings reaches certain levels of syntergic coherence, it can catalyze positive changes throughout the entire network of planetary consciousness. Imagine the possibilities that this opens up. If thousands or millions of people began to practice daily with the transformative phrase, if they began to develop deeper levels of syntergic coherence, we could be contributing to an unprecedented transformation of the collective human consciousness. The conflicts that seem irreconcilable could begin to resolve spontaneously when the people involved reach levels of coherence that allow them to see creative solutions that were previously invisible. The environmental problems that seem insoluble could find innovative answers when humanity functions from higher states of collective consciousness. The economic and political systems that currently generate so much inequality and suffering could be transformed naturally when enough human beings awaken to the understanding that our individual well-being is inextricably connected with the well-being of the whole. This is not a utopian fantasy. It is a real possibility, based on the scientific understanding of how consciousness works at a quantum level. Every time you elevate your own coherence, you are literally altering the informational structure of the planetary syntergic field. You are sowing seeds of transformation that will eventually blossom as concrete changes in the collective reality. But for this planetary transformation to occur, we need people committed to their own inner development, individuals willing to do the necessary internal work to awaken to their true conscious potential. We need pioneers of consciousness who are willing to explore these frontiers, to experiment with these spiritual technologies, to develop these synergic capabilities. Are you willing to be one of these pioneers? Are you willing to commit seriously to the daily practice of the transformative phrase, not only for your own benefit, but as your contribution to the collective awakening of humanity? If your answer is yes, then let me offer you some additional recommendations to maximize the effectiveness of your practice. First, create a sacred space in your home specifically dedicated to this practice. It does not need to be elaborate or expensive. It can be simply a corner of your room where you place some objects that inspire you: a plant, a special stone, an image that represents for you the connection with the sacred. The importance of this sacred space lies in the fact that every time you practice there, you will be impregnating that place with the high frequencies of consciousness that you generate. Over time, that space will become a natural amplifier of synergic coherence. Simply by sitting there, your nervous system will automatically begin to attune to the elevated states that you have repeatedly cultivated in that place. Second, consider practicing in groups with other people who are equally committed to the development of consciousness. During my research, I discovered that group practice can exponentially amplify the effects of individual synergic techniques. When several trained people attune their consciousnesses simultaneously, they create what I called morphic fields of collective coherence that can facilitate extraordinary experiences of conscious expansion. If you do not find people in your immediate geographical area who share this interest, consider connecting virtually with online communities dedicated to the exploration of consciousness. Physical distance is not a significant obstacle to synergic resonance. I have documented cases of brainwave synchronization between people who were practicing simultaneously on different continents. Third, complement your verbal practice with conscious visualization techniques. When you pronounce the transformative phrase, allow mental images to spontaneously arise that represent the reality you want to create. But do not force these visualizations. Allow them to emerge naturally from your deep intuition. The images that arise may be symbolic, rather than literal. Your subconscious may communicate with you through visual metaphors that contain compressed multidimensional information. A flowering tree may represent the unfolding of your creative potential. A calm ocean may symbolize the deep emotional peace you are cultivating. An expanding golden light may represent the expansion of your consciousness. Pay attention to these spontaneous images without analyzing them excessively with your rational mind. Allow them to inform you, to inspire you, to guide you towards deeper understandings about the direction in which your soul wants to evolve. Fourth, remain open to receiving the universe's answers in ways that might completely surprise your rational mind. When you practice conscious manifestation, your personal ego generally has very specific ideas about how the answers should arrive, but cosmic intelligence operates from a much broader perspective, with access to information and possibilities that your personal mind cannot even imagine. I remember the case of a man who practiced daily with synergic techniques, with the intention of creating greater financial abundance. For months, he saw no significant change in his economic situation and began to doubt the effectiveness of the practice. But then a series of apparently unrelated events began to converge in extraordinary ways. A friend casually mentioned a training course in a skill that had interested him years before. During the course, he met a person who would later become his ideal business partner. Together, they developed a company that not only provided him with the financial abundance he had been seeking, but also gave him the opportunity to express creative talents that he had kept dormant for decades. None of this happened in the way he had initially visualized. He did not win the lottery. He did not receive an unexpected inheritance. He did not find money on the street. Instead, the universe orchestrated a complex series of synchronicities that led him to create abundance in a way that also contributed to his personal growth and his sense of purpose in life. This is the higher wisdom of authentic conscious manifestation. It is not about getting what your personality desires in the way your personality imagines. It is about aligning yourself so deeply with the cosmic flow that you receive exactly what your soul needs for its evolution, generally in more creative and integral ways than your limited mind could have conceived. That is why it is so important that when you pronounce "I allow the universe to reorganize itself to reflect my highest intention," you really allow that reorganization. Remain open to possibilities that completely transcend your current expectations. Trust that cosmic intelligence knows better than your personal mind what will truly serve you for your highest good and happiness. Fifth, develop an intimate personal relationship with the sacred mystery of the cosmos. The practice of the transformative phrase should not become a mechanical technique that you perform expecting specific results. It should be a form of deep prayer, a way of constant communion with the divine intelligence that permeates all existence. During my years of research into spiritual traditions from around the world, I observed that the true masters always maintain an attitude of sacred reverence towards the mystery of life. They never feel like manipulators of cosmic forces, but as humble servants of the divine will, expressing itself through them. When you cultivate this attitude of sacred service, when you see your practice with the transformative phrase as a way of offering your individual consciousness as an instrument for cosmic harmony to be expressed, the whole experience is transformed. You are no longer trying to get something from the universe. You are offering everything that you are to the universe, allowing infinite wisdom to flow through you and manifest as your life. This surrender is not passivity. It is the highest form of conscious action. Because when you align yourself completely with the cosmic flow, when you allow universal intelligence to operate through your individual consciousness, your actions become exponentially more effective. You act from the wisdom of the entire cosmos, instead of just from the limitations of your personal perspective. Sixth, and perhaps most important, remember that the true power of the transformative phrase does not reside in the words themselves, but in the state of consciousness from which you pronounce them. The words are simply vehicles for transporting specific frequencies of consciousness. If you pronounce the right words, but from a fragmented state of consciousness, they will have little or no transformative power. On the contrary, if you authentically cultivate the state of consciousness that the words represent, if you truly become the living embodiment of perfect synergic coherence, then your mere presence will become a constant, transformative phrase. Every breath, every word, every action will be imbued with the power of cosmic consciousness functioning through you. This is the ultimate goal of all authentic spiritual practice. Not just to have occasional extraordinary experiences, but to become a constant expression of the highest consciousness. To become someone whose entire life is a demonstration of the unlimited potential that exists within every human being. Let me share with you a personal experience that illustrates this point. During one of my intensive research retreats, after weeks of disciplined practice with advanced synergic techniques, I entered a state of consciousness that I can only describe as total cosmic transparency. In that state, I directly experienced that there was no separation whatsoever between my individual consciousness and the universal consciousness. It was as if my temporary personality had become completely transparent, allowing cosmic wisdom and love to flow through me without any distortion or interference. During the hours that this experience lasted, I did not need to pronounce any special phrase for extraordinary manifestations to occur. My mere presence seemed to catalyze spontaneous transformations in everything around me. Plants that had been withering began to revive. People who were nearby experienced physical and emotional healings without me doing anything specific to facilitate them. More significantly, I myself experienced a profound transformation that persisted long after the altered state of consciousness ended. Understandings about the nature of reality that had been only intellectual concepts became direct experiential knowledge. Abilities that previously required complicated techniques became as natural as walking or breathing. This experience taught me that the real power does not reside in the external techniques, but in the degree of transparency that we develop to allow cosmic consciousness to express itself through us. The techniques, including the transformative phrase that I have shared with you, are simply tools to help us gradually develop that transparency. So as you practice with the transformative phrase, remember that your ultimate goal is not simply to obtain specific results in your external life. Your goal is to become such a clear expression of cosmic consciousness that your entire life becomes a constant miracle, a continuous demonstration of the unlimited possibilities that exist when a human being functions from their full potential. This process of transformation does not have a definitive endpoint. It is a constant evolution, an awakening that deepens infinitely. Every day that you practice consciously, every moment that you choose coherence over chaos, every breath that you take from gratitude instead of fear, you will be expanding your capacity to channel the highest frequencies of the cosmos. And as you embark on this extraordinary journey of conscious awakening, remember that you are not alone. Although at times the path may seem solitary, although at times you may feel that no one else truly understands what you are going through, the truth is that you are part of a global network of human beings who are simultaneously awakening to the same potential that you are exploring. Every time you pronounce the transformative phrase from an authentic state of synergic coherence, you will be automatically connecting with this network of awakened consciousness. You will be adding your unique voice to the cosmic choir of human beings who are consciously participating in the evolution of planetary consciousness. Trust in this process. Trust in your own innate ability to awaken to your true potential. Trust that the universe is constantly conspiring to support your conscious evolution, even when external circumstances seem to suggest otherwise. Remember the sacred words. I am the consciousness that dreams this reality, and from my perfect coherence, I allow the universe to reorganize itself to reflect my highest intention. But more important than remembering the words, remember to become the living truth that these words represent. Become the awakened consciousness. Embody perfect coherence. Allow the cosmic reorganization. Maintain the highest intention. When you do this, you will not only transform your own life in ways that you currently cannot even imagine, you will become a catalyst for transformation for all beings who have the blessing of coming into contact with you. You will become a conscious instrument through which the cosmos can express more beauty, more harmony, more love in this world. This is your true destiny. This is the reason why your soul chose to incarnate at this extraordinary moment in human history. To awaken, to remember, to become who you really are, to participate consciously in the transformation that is occurring on our planet. The universe is waiting for you. The entire cosmos is awaiting your complete awakening. Every present moment is a new invitation to pronounce the sacred words, to embody coherence, to allow the magic of conscious consciousness to transform everything it touches. The phrase is in your hands now. The power is in your consciousness. The moment is now. What are you going to do with this extraordinary opportunity? The answer is waiting in the sacred silence of your heart, in the deep stillness of your essential being, in the infinite wisdom that resides at the very center of who you really are. Listen, feel, allow, and then pronounce the words that can change your world forever.